Showtime, everyone. Hello. Happy Tuesday. Yes, it's not Monday. We fooled you once again, but I promise we are going to be back to our regularly scheduled Mondays very soon. We'll also be back to our regularly scheduled co-host, but instead we have Andy with us. Everyone say hello to Andy. Give Andy a big warm hand.
Hello,
Yeah.
Andy. Oh, that's Spencer.
Andy always likes a warm hand on his opening.
Whoa, and Hedwig.
That's a
here,
Hedwig
probably.
in the Angry Inch reference, folks. Sorry. It's a
This
little
is
too
our
early for that. This is just the pre-show warm-up, so don't get too scared. We're just waiting for a few folks to join. And in the meantime, we're going to say hello to some of our friends like Michael Bingham here as always.
Hey,
hello.
See you, buddy.
Welcome on this Tuesday, Michael. And Derico's Corner, Blossom, and Michelangelo. Hello as always. Michael is very excited to see you, Andy.
Yeah, apparently.
Hi, and Wiser, Carly. Yes, my elusive co-host Carly. She gets invited to all the cool stuff, and she is on a big media tour with Disney and Universal this week. So she is being wined and dined, and can't make time for us little people. No, she misses everyone, and she will be back very soon. Brian Sager says, yes, this week has been insane for the news. Yeah, it is. If you are a theme park journalist, you have been kept hopping this week. And we will be talking about a lot of that very quickly.
When you say hopping, do you mean island hopping?
That was good. That was good. I didn't even plan that pun. See, and everyone wants to say hi to Andy. That's great.
Hi, buddy.
All right, Carly, you're fired. Andy's now permanent.
Whoa.
Wait. All right. Well, we have like 50 people here in the chat. So I think it is time for us to kick this thing off in 3, 2.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. I am Seth, and this is not Carly. Yes, my regular co-host is absent today because she is being wined and dined by Disney and Universal Media on a huge week of media events that they have going on here in Florida.
And we are insanely jealous.
Yes, but instead, I have my good friend Andy here. Andy, one of our correspondents for Attractions Magazine. Since this is your first time on the show with us, Andy, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, hey, so I'm Andy Haynes. I've been with Attractions Magazine for, I think it's been about 10 years now. Whew, and I've lived... No, it's been great.
Sound happier about that.
Wee, 10 years! No, so I've grown up here in Orlando around the theme parks. I've worked in and around theme parks for 20 years as a stagehand at Disney. I was operations at Universal, and I moved into kind of design and writing as well. So if you ever go out to maybe Sesame Street at SeaWorld, you'll see some of my work up on those walls. And as far as Attractions Magazine, I'm kind of the resident escape room, theater, and haunted attraction reviewer. So I've really carved out that niche. Do what you love, right? go for
Absolutely. I gotta say, Andy is a man you do want to be trapped in an escape room with. We have tested out many escape rooms together, and I don't think we've been conquered once. So he is definitely a good luck charm.
I am currently undefeated, and it's starting to become a little bit of an albatross around my neck. I'm ready for. I need that one loss just so I don't have the nerves.
Exactly. And here's a funny bit of trivia. I've known Andy a long time, but I've known his mom even longer because way back in the very early 2000s, we had a dinner theater. Shout out to the Soulfire Dinner Theater. Memories and Mayhem, short-lived dinner show written by Brian Bradley, who's out in Hollywood writing for things like Star Trek Lower Decks now. So there's a little bit of Orlando dinner theater history for you.
I remember that.
Thank you.
535, right? Kind of near 192?
Yes. Yep. Not too far from Epcot. Yep. Good times. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Andy. I really appreciate you helping us out. And as I said, Carly is away having some very exciting media experiences. We are jealous, but she will hopefully be back with us very soon. And now, without any further ado, there is
Yeah,
one
come on,
more piece
Seth.
of ado. We talked to you. We didn't talk to me about what Aunt. Normally
Hey,
Carly
hey,
turns
hey,
and says,
Seth.
"Seth,
Hey,
how are
Seth.
you doing? What's new in your
What
life?" But Andy is
what
just
fun
not so
things are
fun.
you doing right now, Seth? What's
Why,
going on?
thank
What's new in
you
your life?
so much
Oh,
for
I'm sorry.
asking. I got to head over this week over to City Walk at Universal Orlando and get to be one of the very first people inside the new Epic Universe Preview Center. In other words, I had a preview of a preview. Uh, they still are just saying this is opening to the public in June. They have not given us a definitive date. There's just a little bit of touch-ups being done still around the exterior of the building, but it looks like it could be opening up any day now. And this is your chance to get a preview of the Epic Universe theme park that is going to be opening up in 2025. There are photo ops themed to each of the lands. There's exclusive merchandise. There is a portal outside, just like the portals that you're going to pass through into each of the lands. But most importantly, there is an amazing detailed scale model down to the trees, so many trees, showing off just how epic this epic theme park is going to be. And to plus it, you can download right now from the Google Play or the Apple iOS store an augmented reality app that will let your camera discover all little hidden figures, moving ride vehicles, all sorts of little surprises through this model.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I was gonna ask about that because I think AR is so cool. Like, this is the way
yeah.
you need to use augmented reality on stuff. So
Mhm.
how well does it work here for this
It works
application?
really well. We recorded some of these using the screen capture on even on an iPhone 15. Trying to do the augmented reality and the screen capture at the same time cuts your frame rate a lot. So when
Mm,
we upload these videos, they're going to seem a little jerky. They're not like that if you're not trying to do a screen capture at the same time. If you're not trying to screen capture, they look perfectly smooth. But for example, here on this model here of the Star Dust Racers, not Starfall Racers, because there was a trademark dispute. So anything that you heard that
hmm.
this was Starfall Racers, it's actually called Stardust Racers now. But you will see little animated 3D trains zipping along the
Cool.
course of the track here. Another one I love, if you focus on the show building for the Mario Kart ride over in the Super Nintendo world. I'm trying to scroll down because we have some screenshots of it. Yes, you can see Rainbow Road
Oh,
emerge
fun.
from the top of the show building, and you can see
Love it.
little ride vehicles going around.
There
In
are Mario Kart players right now who are all like, "Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
Rainbow Road, oh
Um,
no."
in the dark universe area, the burning the windmill, the burning blade windmill, you can actually see flames. You can see people walking around, and every once in a while, you'll see a werewolf run around the land.
So what do you is that you think that effect there'll be something like that burning windmill, like, in real life?
In real life, that windmill actually is going to burn. We believe there are in the permits. We see that there are gas lines installed
Okay.
up into the windmill, and I don't know if it's going to burn continuously or if it'll be more like the
The
dragon
dragon.
flame in Gringotts. But that is definitely going to be a photo op, seeing that burning windmill straight out of the end of the original Frankenstein film.
Do a little mini show for it, like, with the
Yes.
guy lighting
Yeah.
it or something.
And speaking of show, in the big show at Epic Universe is going to be How to Train Your Dragon, the Untrainable Dragon, and
Mm.
you get a tiny little preview of the show in augmented reality. The back of the theater opens up, and you see this enormous dragon puppet breathing fire, moving around. The augmented reality, real like I could just sit and look at this model for hours. When back before they built Islands of Adventure, there was a preview center for Islands of Adventure
Mhm.
where the Revenge of the Mummy extended queue is today, and that I could stare and look at that detailed model for hours, and I'm sure I'm going to do the same thing here. So yeah, if you are excited about Epic Universe, you definitely want to check this out.
And I mean, why not be excited about Epic Universe? You know, what would we say? The last new theme park in Orlando was IOA.
I mean, IOA,
Like-
yes. Universal had the
20
last
years
one.
ago?
The last
Over 20 years ago?
full-size theme park. You know, we've had things like Peppa Pig, but that, you know, that's not really a full-size theme park. This is absolutely going to be the biggest thing to hit Universal or all of Orlando in the last 25 years, until whatever Disney spends that you know, $17 billion on. And
Encanto, right? They're spending on Encanto.
We don't talk about Bruno here.
Well,
all right. Well, so now that we have discussed that, without any further ado, it's time to jump into the news in the queue. And for our first piece of news in the queue, we're starting out at the Tokyo DisneySea Resort, where Fantasy Springs has now opened. Brand new land featuring Peter Pan, Tangled, and Frozen opened officially on June 6th. There has been previews going on for a while, so we have full POV videos of the Peter Pan's Neverland Adventure Simulator ride, which is basically Disney's answer to Spider-Man 25 years later. They've got the Fairy Tinkerbell's Busy Buggies, which is a cute little outdoor dark ride. They've got Rapunzel's Lantern Festival, which is a boat ride, and the Anna and Elsa's Frozen Journey boat ride, along with some restaurants and merchandise.
They had the Snuggly Duckling. I mean,
yes.
what could be better?
Yes, that honestly, that's the most exciting part, probably the Snuggly Duckling quick service restaurant over in the Rapunzel's Forest area. And this is all tied into Tokyo DisneySea Fantasy Springs Hotel, the newest property on site there, which has two wings. It's got a deluxe tier and a super deluxe luxury tier, which if you have to ask how much a night there costs, you cannot afford it. But the bonus is that folks staying there are going to get direct access through a dedicated entrance right into Fantasy Springs. And I tell you, at least for the start here, getting into Fantasy Springs is not going to be easy. And this kind of reminds me of the early days of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge or Super Nintendo World out in Hollywood. Just walking into the land is something you're going to have to figure out how to do. You're going to need either a free standby pass, which is kind of like their equivalent of a virtual queue, or you're going to need to purchase what they call Premier Access, which is sort of like their individual lightning lane, for one of those four rides inside the land. If you don't have a pass for a ride, you can't get into the land.
You can't get into the land at all. Like you said, like Star Wars, like Galaxy's Edge was.
The only exception is they are selling a special one-day Fantasy Springs Magic ticket. And if you have that special one-day ticket, you can enter the land without a ride reservation. But keep in mind, they're not doing a typical standby line for these rides. So if you don't have a standby pass or a paid Premier Access pass, you are not getting on these rides for right now. And I've actually been watching some coverage of this, folks who went in the first few days, and basically by 9 a.m. every pass of every type is gone.
Well, big surprise. I feel like
this is Japan.
Company wide.
People will very very quietly, very politely line up 10,000 people deep at 5 a.m. to get into a theme park. And so I've seen reports of people showing up before 7 a.m. Waiting more than an hour to get into the park, getting one ride on standby, being able to buy another ride for Premier Access, and then that's it for the rest of the day. That you got there at 7 a.m., you stay till 8 p.m., and that's all you get to see. So It might, I was hoping to take a trip to Japan this fall. I'm thinking maybe I'll put it off till next fall.
Yeah, well, it's like with every land, like with Star Wars, like with
Mhm.
Pandora, these things are, big and huge, and then after a
Yeah,
while, of course, it will
yeah,
just become another
yeah.
land in the area, and
It
just be
will
one more
it
place
it
to
will eventually die
be
down,
in.
but, I mean, if you've, been obsessively planning a trip, for years like me and watched lots of vlogs about, Tokyo Disneyland, you'll see even, almost 20 years later, people, line up for Pooh's Honey Hunt, in the morning, and the demand for the Beauty and the Beast ride that's, over a year old, that's still really, really hot there,
Well,
so
and I mean, they're incredible. Like just the clips and stuff
yeah,
I've seen of the Frozen
yeah.
things are like they're doing stuff with animatronics that
Oh,
looks like magic.
it
You know?
absolutely looks worth the wait. I mean, I've seen so many viral reels just of the transformation
Yeah.
scene from the Frozen ride where, Anna, gets melted and, comes back
It's a
to
little like
life.
the Beast transforming in Beauty and the
Yeah,
Beast. That same
yeah.
sort of
They are so
feel.
good with that blend of projection mapping and animatronics. Here in the States, I feel like a lot of the times they're like, it's either an animatronic or it's a screen. And I feel like a lot of these, especially these newer attractions in Japan, at least the way it looks on the YouTube videos I watch, looks like they have really mastered blurring the line
Well,
between,
and
you know,
it feels like we've
what's.
known this in themed entertainment for like, since
Mhm.
Spider-Man.
Oh,
Spider-Man
sure,
was a
absolutely.
pinnacle of
Mhm.
combining screen and live action stuff,
Yeah.
and it's still pretty great,
Not
for as
not
old as
just
that
still
ride
pretty
is.
great. If you put up the obviously I've not seen it in person. It's hard to judge a 3D
Mhm.
ride based on YouTube. But if you put the new Peter Pan ride up against Spider-Man, Peter Pan ride appears to have one physical prop, which is a boat towards the beginning that falls, and everything else there. And there's also a Native American drum that bounces up and down a little. Other than that, it's pretty much all very nicely done physical sets, but static sets and projections. Whereas you go into Spider-Man and there's props that move all over the place. That really,
Explosions and yeah.
which is why I still think Spider-Man is way better than Transformers. As much as I like
Well,
Transformers, it just doesn't
yeah.
take that extra step to
I
blend the physical.
I was about to say of between the two, of what you were describing sounds a lot more like Transformers, which is a
Exactly. Yeah.
ride I will go on if it's not big and I'm not doing something else, but yeah,
Yeah.
did it once or twice. I'm like, I'm good. This was fine.
I mean, it just doesn't have the heart that Spider-Man does. And I will say that that's one thing that this Peter Pan ride does. It's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of character. The CGI versions of the characters that we're used to being traditionally hand animated, I have mixed
Yeah.
feelings about. But I think they did a great job, at least with the visual style and and the tone of the whole thing.
Well,
So
and I like that they're still giving some love to Peter Pan. They're not just picking new IPs. You're still
mhm.
combining your adventure
Yeah,
fantasy IPs from across time. So you still got stuff that's nostalgic for
yeah,
adults to enjoy, and with the kids for even between
yeah,
Rapunzel and Frozen and stuff. Those are even different eras now,
yeah. And
almost.
and finally, if you're an American theme park fan wondering why we're talking so much about Tokyo, keep an eye on all these attractions because they have not so subtly hinted that one or more of these could be part of the Disneyland Forward package, the expansion over the next decade or so coming to the Disneyland Resort. So, they're very working or watching very carefully the public's reaction to these attractions to see. They always love recycling. Why design something brand new
Exactly.
when you can share the R&D costs that
It worked in
the
Japan.
yeah, exactly. So hopefully, because it's pretty rare. A lot of attractions go to Japan, but it's rare for the Oriental Land companies. They usually have an exclusive, and even after the exclusive expires, it's rare that the stateside parks want to put that kind of money into something.
Sure.
So hopefully that'll change. All right. So moving on. From Tokyo DisneySeas, we are now hopping over to Universal in both Florida and California, where we finally got an announcement of the first intellectual property haunted house for Halloween Horror Nights, and it is, drum roll please. No, don't do a drum roll because that'll call them. It's A Quiet Place. Yes, A Quiet Place 1 and Quiet Place 2 will both come to life in a new haunted house found at both Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Studios Florida for Halloween Horror Nights, starting here in Florida at the end of August and beginning of September in Hollywood.
I am.
Is this one you were hyped for?
So I will say not especially. I mean, A Quiet Place wasn't. I saw the first one. I didn't see the second one. I will see them now before we go again.
I need to figure out what streaming service they are on. I will be honest. My only John Krasinski experience is through The Office. I'm not aware of his directorial skills when it comes to horror movies.
So he was in Marvel. He was in
he was not Mr. Fantastic for about 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
He was the alternate. Yeah, I think that was just paying off a bunch of fan service rumors,
right?
And getting rid of them. But I'm going to stream these films. I promise to catch up. If like me, you are ignorant. Here's the description that they give. In the Quiet Place universe, Earth has been overtaken by horrifying, sightless creatures who find their prey with their exceptional hearing. The only way to survive is by staying completely silent in this haunted house. You, like the Abbott family, who are the film's protagonists, will creep from the farmhouse to the woods to the foundry in complete quiet. That is, you'd better move in complete quiet. One slip up and you'll summon the terrifying creatures who will silence you for good.
So, thoughts on that concept? I mean, from what I do remember of the Quiet Place movie, the tension from it comes so often from the absolute silence. Like, that's the horrifying part, is any single noise summons these creatures. And a Halloween Horror Nights house can't do that. You know, like, in general, if this actually does make them take a break from having the assaultive, 105 decibel soundtrack in every single haunted house, where you have the same 2-second audio clips looping every, twice a minute, the same, 16 bars of music just blasting you. If they could use like white noise or something, to create like an eerie, like, I know you can't have actual silence, but if they could create the equivalent of silence. I always think of there's a moment in an otherwise terrible movie, Attack of the Clones, Star Wars 2, where Jango Fett sets off a sonic bomb. And the whole movie is just so loud. And there's just this one brief moment in the soundtrack, which they also do, I think, on the Star Tours ride, if you get a certain variation, where they just literally drop out all the sound for 1 second. And the absence of sound when you've been assaulted by sound for 2 hours has such a huge impact. And if they can find a way of creating that moment in a haunted house, that would be so cool. It's also going to depend a lot on where this house is. Because if it's going to be sharing like one of the sound stages with another house, that's one of the reasons you pump loud music, is to cover it up. Also, you can't stop screams. That's the point of it, is people are going to be screaming at this. So regardless, you're going to hear that.
If every teenager who unnecessarily shrieks at the top of their lungs actually gets murdered by a alien creature, I vote for that, because that, if nothing else, that'll make the lines go down.
And they'll get off your lawn, definitely.
Exactly. So I don't mind people who scream because they're genuinely scared and it like comes out involuntarily. It's the people who just scream as loud and hard as they can just to be annoying, because
to be a part of the show. Yeah. I think one of the things that's interesting with The Quiet Place 2 is, we have the new movies coming up, the Day One.
I did see a trailer for that. Okay.
So it's the prequel. Of like, here's literally day one, these creatures have arrived. That to me is a much better choice. Like, obviously, I can't speak to why they do this, what rights they're doing, what they're trying to promote, who knows. But the day one gives you reasons for the actors and stuff to be making noise unknowingly and get killed
Right.
by a monster.
Right,
That's
because
still
they don't
our
know
world.
they don't know the deal yet, right?
One of the big
Yeah.
things they're talking about with this is that it's going to be the first house to use American Sign Language. Cool.
Yeah.
Also, people jumping in front of you and saying, hi, hi. Like, it's not as scary, but I get it. Like, I appreciate the inclusivity, really.
Yes.
I'm real apprehensive. I will say some of the rumors we've heard from some of the other IP houses, I'm going to be a little more excited for.
Yeah.
And all the originals this year sound great.
The
And
original,
obviously,
yeah.
and
So
I will
we've
say,
got
like,
those
I've
6
also
originals.
and I've never not enjoyed myself. Like it will be fun. There will still be people jumping out at you. There will still be jump scares. There'll still be
Right.
interesting locations. But I also think of Quiet Place, like there's nothing I'm like, oh, I really want to see the woods. I want to see that farmhouse. Like I want to walk through there, not like I am for some other, like when Ghostbusters was here, I was like, I want to see the Stay Puft Marshmallow. I want to be up on the rooftop with that. I want to Stranger Things. I want to be there at the rock concert. Like that, those moments.
We're talking in an earlier episode about how they kind of had struck a balance of 5 intellectual properties, 5 originals for many years, and now this is the first time we've got 6 originals and only 4 intellectual properties. First time in many years, and the intellectual properties can be great if there's an iconic character or setting. But sometimes you have something that sounds like a good idea. It's like it's a title people recognize. It's a cool concept for a movie. But just because something is good to watch on screen doesn't necessarily mean it translates to walking through that experience.
And it's what the difference is between horror and terror and suspense. Quiet Place is a suspenseful thriller. Like The Shining was one.
It's not a
too,
slasher.
Yeah, you make The Shining into a house. The psychological terror of it is what makes that awesome, and the slow buildup of that. That same.
No, what made The Shining house terrifying was those prosthetic foreheads that they slapped onto the Jack Nicholson actors. That made them all look like something from The Hills Have Eyes.
Yikes! Uncanny Valley. That's where they get you.
So just to wrap this up, this is coming to both Florida, and it is also the first house that they have revealed for Hollywood. Hollywood was kind of behind the ball, but now they have released the dates and the tickets and all that kind of stuff. So you can get caught up on all the Halloween Horror Nights news by visiting our website. We've got all the details wrapped up in one place for you.
Yeah.
And now, hopping over to Walt Disney World, we have a bit of non-news. We've been talking a lot in recent weeks about the billions of dollars that has now been approved for the Disney Corporation to spend at Walt Disney World. Lots of expansions expected in the coming years, and the first one that we are pretty sure is coming is DinoLand at Animal Kingdom will be going away to be replaced by Encanto and Indiana Jones attractions. But even though we have seen permits filing and some backstage work starting, we now have a hint that DinoLand is going to stay DinoLand at least until September 9th of this year, because they are doing a special 30th anniversary Lion King celebration at Animal Kingdom Park. And they're going to be serving some snacks at Restaurantosaurus and Trilobites inside DinoLand. So it means that those should be sticking around at least through September 9th. But if you love the current dinosaur attraction or staring at the empty space where Primeval Whirl used to be, get your last looks in this summer, because I don't think this is going to stick around much past fall.
So I will say I have a real soft spot in my heart for DinoLand. One thing, I used to work at Finding Nemo the musical as a stagehand, so I had to walk through DinoLand every single day to get to that stage. But I also think, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you've got the theme park knowledge as well, but I feel like DinoLand is one of the last fully themed lands that's not based around an IP. That has a real storyline.
You are 100% correct. Since Cars Land, they've been doing lands that are based around a single IP. And then, back in the day of the Magic Kingdom, you would have something like Adventureland that was kind of like, a collection of different ideas, different themes, all loosely connected, but not any before SEA came in. There wasn't any like real through line tying it all together. I
Yes.
really think it was DinoLand was in some ways the first and the last to be an original concept that put so many details and Easter eggs. There's an entire story about the battle between the grad students and the paleontologists.
I
That's
say
fascinating.
Environmental storytelling is one of my all-time favorite things. In a world like a theme park or video games too, escape rooms, all of haunted houses, all of it. It's environmental storytelling when you can look around and understand, like just that right there. Look at Restaurantosaurus. Like that's great. You understand immediately what's happening here. And if this was a restaurant, and then the grad students or whoever, like, hey, Tagdongs, the Osaurus was fun. Oh, there was a dig site here that the Dino Institute opened up around, and some, carnival people, tried to cash in on it with a roadside attraction. Like the whole land. I was trying to think of what other one could possibly be there, and it's the Lost Continent at IOA.
Sure.
Which ironically should have been at Animal Kingdom. But
yeah, exactly. You are absolutely right. And that, obviously that is less than a shadow of its former self.
Yeah.
But right now,
everything is going to be based around, like we were talking about fantasy over there. It's like everything about it is an IP. It's not just a fantasy land.
Right now, while it's still open and intact, next time you're in Animal Kingdom, read the bulletin boards, first of all, because there are amazing little bulletin boards with messages going back and forth between different characters. And you can actually like track who these different characters are, what their relationships are to each other. And also go inside Restaurantosaurus and look up kind of on the second level. There are so many props. There's so many, and it's layered in a way that we don't get now, where you get the sense that there was, an initial thing there, and then more people came in and put something else, and then more people came and put a third layer, and you can almost do that kind of archaeology of seeing how it was all developed.
I will say Pandora does really well with that too.
Yes, Pandora.
I remember very specifically walking through, like on the preview day, because again, I used to work at Lion King as well. I did both of those. It was so funny walking around that land, and at one point, I remember looking around the Pandora land, and there's a stain from an oil drum, on the ground, and going like, that was a choice someone made. Like there was not an oil drum just sitting there rusting. That is, someone came and did this item, and again, the slow buildup of the evolution of it. That stuff I love, and unfortunately that will be a thing of the past.
And I think very similar connection between DinoLand and Pandora is Joe Rohde. That's I think a lot of that goes. And I will say for him.
In my own writing and stuff and work I've done in themed entertainment, I do the same thing. I try to layer it in, and it's a lot about like, it's the levels of enjoyment. Just walking through this land, it's bright, it's colorful, it's interesting. You enjoy it there. You go a little bit deeper because you know about dinosaurs maybe, and some things start to be a little funnier. Then you go deeper reading about these grad students. It's all this, however far you want to go, you're getting rewarded for that much more knowledge and understanding and effort you're putting into knowing about it. I love that so much.
And before we leave here, I also want to give a shout out to Mr. Imagination. Right outside Chester and Hester's Dinorama is a folk art sculpture covered with mosaics of a dinosaur made by Mr. Imagination. He was a late visionary artist. He also did the back archway of the House of Blues at Disney Springs, and some work in Sanford, and he had stuff in Washington. He was a really influential local artist, and I really hope that sculpture is somehow saved or relocated, because it would be a shame for it to be lost. But as we mentioned, Encanto may be coming, Indiana Jones may be coming. They previously teased Zootopia and Moana, but we're pretty sure those plans are dead. But there is definitely things coming to DinoLand. Head to our website for a deep dive into DinoLand history. And some lots of photos, and get over there before September 9th. Like we said, we're not sure that's closing after September 9th. We know it's around at least until then, but I wouldn't count on it much longer than that. Yeah. And finally, to wrap up the news in the queue this week, sad piece of news: the Doctor Strange show, Doctor Strange and the Mysteries of the Mystic Arts at Avengers Campus in California and Adventure, is going away. After only 3 years of performance, they have quietly removed it from the schedule beyond June 22nd. So you got just over a week to see a Benedict Cumberbatch lookalike perform birthday party magic tricks in a completely unshaded concrete pond.
So
Uh,
your tone implies perhaps you have a
I
certain thought on this.
I tease because I love. I will say that the actors that I've seen doing this role were spot on. They really, I mean, they did a good job casting this with some of the white in their hair was a little too spray on, but for the most part, they had really good actors performing this role. The show was cheesy as heck, though. I mean, it was some very simple magic tricks with a lot of talking.
It feels a lot like it's the kind of thing that I want in quantity. If you're gonna do something of this quality, then give me
Right.
5 of them across. Let it be happenings all over.
Right.
That's what it's like. Any of these little sort of mini sideshows.
This is the
they're
kind of
cool
thing.
to stumble across. They're cool
Exactly.
to see for a second, and then
If you just walked up, it was happening, and you walked on without taking any time of your day, great. But the problem was it was in this courtyard, so it was outdoors. And I remember when they first started this, they would do them in the morning, and people were literally just passing out on the burning hot cement. They finally shifted it so that it lately it's been running like 3:30 p.m. till 7 p.m. Some like who are you servicing by running a show for like 4 hours in the late afternoon?
And I mean, there's obviously Marvel. The campus is not going away anytime soon. But there's definitely the superhero fatigue is setting in. In the last 10 years, and I don't think. And I always point out these kind of things. Like I don't know anyone who Doctor Strange is their favorite character from the MCU. That's the one I want to see desperately do stuff.
Yeah.
Like I get it,
and they would even they would sort of juice up this show by any time there was a new movie or TV show. There's like a cameo appearance. Originally, it was Thor would come out and give Doctor Strange something in the middle of the show, and then they would like change it. Like I know they had America Ferrara for a while. They have her come out, or I'm sorry, my God, America Chavez.
Yeah.
Wow. That was bad.
I almost said the
someone
same
edit
thing.
that out. Someone edit that out, please. America Chavez would come out in the middle of the show, and they would just sort of rotate with whoever they wanted to promote. I know Agatha will probably be using that space during the Oogie Boogie Bash. It's probably just going to be a meet and greet now. It's a shame because it's a beautiful little spot, but they didn't put any shade. What were they thinking? Like, I think every single theme park needs to be designing for shade now.
It's an unforced error to do that. I can remember Pixar Land, Toy Story over there in the studios has that same kind of thing where like, this is real fun looking. I need to leave because I am
melting. I am melting. Yes.
God bless it. Like it will be. It needs to be of the new things. The latest Doctor Strange didn't really set anyone's heart aflame. They have the Agatha TV series coming out. Like that's probably fine. Keep it pumping, keep it going with whatever's new.
I would love to think that this is because they're developing a new and better show. My guess is that this is about cost cutting. This is not the only cost cutting we're seeing here. The Avengers Assemble stunt show, which is also not very good, which is performed there. That's down to, I think, 4 or 5 days a week instead of 7 days a week now. There's some other shows in the parks that they've cut the number of days of performance. There's still no kind of entertainment inside the Golden Horseshoe, where they used to have a piano player or a magician. There's just little entertainment. The big one is the Fantasyland Theater. They got rid of the Tale of the Lion King show. They're doing a Pixar Fest right now. There's nothing scheduled once Pixar Fest is done. And over in Hyperion, they had good reaction to the Steve Rogers musical last summer. Nothing going on this summer. So I don't know if part of this is the unionization efforts that have gone on over the last year or so. They've had more union push among entertainment employees, and so that has raised labor costs for shows.
Well, this is also, live entertainment is always the first thing to go.
Exactly, it's the easiest thing for them to cut.
Well, and it's also the easiest thing for them to front load. You think about like when Pandora opened, and the people all over that. We're talking about DinoLand. You used to meet the grad students out there. The little happenings
Yep.
I was talking about this with my girlfriend about Epic Universe. You know, it's probably going to be packed to the gills with characters and entertainment all over, and then
For the
slowly
first
just
6
gonna,
months. Yeah.
you know, pare stuff away as they see fit.
Yeah. Raise your hand if you remember the Time Bandits, or rather, the Bandits of Time from Islands of Adventure's opening year. Anyone?
Is that
Anyone?
like the steampunky kind of
Yeah. Yep.
vibe? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We used to have all
What?
sorts of things, and they just got rid of, and they had brought back the storytellers and the citizens of IOA for a while, and they were all put out to pasture recently.
Well, and with all of these, you know, like we'll caveat it all by saying we hate to see shows go away if just for the actors. You know, we always
absolutely.
we know a lot of actors who do this kind of stuff, and just in general, like more people working is better. You know, for this sort of thing, it enhances it all, but. What can we do?
All right. Well, if you want to relive Doctor Strange's Mysteries of the Mystic Arts, you can watch a full video of the show on our YouTube channel.
Not starring America Ferrera.
No, I'm so sorry. My God. But that will be, looks like that will be running through the 22nd. Beyond that, you will have to leap into the multiverse and find an alternate reality where it's still running. All right, that will bring us to the end of our news in the queue. Before we get to this week's main attraction, we're going to hear a quick word from our sponsor.
The Attractions Podcast is brought to you by MEI and MEI-Travel. Whether your next vacation is a magical trip to the theme parks, an exciting adventure to the pyramids of Egypt, or just a relaxing cruise on the turquoise waters of the Bahamas, MEI-Travel provides premium service and expert advice to help you get the most of your vacation. They are always free of any hidden fees or costs to you. Visit them at mei-travel.com.
It's time for the main attraction.
And for this week's main attraction, we are trying very hard not to be jealous, but our publisher, Matt, my co-host, Carly, and one of other media folks got to be the first people on Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point. Lookout Cay, Lighthouse Point. Lookout Cay, Key. Key.
I usually say Key for that's a Florida boy thing there.
Yeah. And I actually believe there was a big thing at the press thing where they were educating people on the correct way to say it. But Lighthouse Point has welcomed its first guests. This is the new private island destination for the Disney Cruise Line. And there was a media visit out there that Matt got to go, take lots of pictures, check out everything that's going on there. And we have a full report. It's not exactly a private island. It's a section of the island of Eleutheria, which is part of the Bahamas. So it's just sort of like a beach on an island, but they don't have the entire island. The first guests arrived on June 7th for a preview cruise above the Disney Magic, which is still my favorite Disney cruise ship.
Yeah.
Love that one. And they got to check out the beaches, the water play areas, the private cabanas, the entertainment, and the food. And you can experience it all by checking out the photos and the videos that we've got up on our website.
It's cool.
Are you a Disney Cruise Line fan? Have you been?
I have been a few times. I went on some of the not inaugural ones the first couple of years. You know, my family went out and we got to do the Castaway Key and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I dig them. I like them. They just keep getting better and better. It's interesting. These are the kind of things you need, right? Because I'm a little, having cruised a bit in my life, I always feel bad that most of the islands you stop at just kind of feel really samey to me. That's
if you are an experienced Caribbean cruiser, a lot of the ports all can kind of feel
start
the
to blur.
Same. Yeah.
So having something like this, especially if you're going on Disney Cruise Line and you like Disney type of things, you like themed entertainment, you like theme park level attractions, it's good to have somewhere that like you're gonna stop. It's not to say it's not just one more tropical Caribbean beach you're gonna lie on, but at the same time there are extra things to do, because kids especially, you can hang out at the beach only so long sometimes. Awesome. Give them some live entertainment, give them the rides and attractions to look at and play with.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm a big fan of Disney Cruise Line, especially Disney Magic. It might be the older ship, but it's I think still my favorite. And I have only visited Castaway Cay, but visiting Castaway Cay has always been my favorite part of Disney Cruise. And this has a lot of the same things that people love about Castaway Cay. And we've got a virtual tour that you can check out. But some of the new things that they've added, they've got, of course, all the Disney characters, Mickey and friends are out there, and they've got brand new outfits on, very colorful, Bahamian colors. They do a Fun on the Sun beach bash, and they've also got a Junkanoo celebration. Junkanoo is sort of like it's derived from Africa, and it's similar to Carnival, but it's different. It uses handmade costumes, which are usually made out of recycled paper material. It's
really so it's got the African and Caribbean kind of combination there, feel to them. Is it wrong just to think of this place as like a prequel to Typhoon Lagoon?
That's a really interesting way of thinking of it. I like that.
Typhoon Lagoon day one.
Yeah, exactly. Before the storm hits, right? Well, it doesn't quite have the water slides of Typhoon Lagoon, but it does have more than just a splash pad. I mean, you've got some kid-friendly water slides, but lots of play areas. There's, of course, also a Serenity Bay adults-only area. Dining options. They've got 2 true barbecues. They've got multiple barbecues.
Are those the private cabanas that you just scrolled by there?
Let me see. Yes, that is what the private cabanas look like out on the beach.
Those are fun.
And yeah, those are really fun if you can afford one of those. If you can't, there's plenty of beach chairs. The one thing that the 2 criticisms that I have seen about this so far is, one, it is not a short walk from the boat to the beach.
I saw that. Yeah, the videos that Matt was taking, like from the boat onto even just looking down at it and watching all the employees like walking down the very long cement pier.
The pier is possibly one of the longest piers that I have ever seen in my life. It's over a half mile long, I think. It's about a 10 to 15 minute walk, and there is absolutely no shade. It's literally, they have a table halfway down the pier with bottles of water and cold towels just to help you survive.
What is with this
why they could not have covered this pier with some fabric or something?
Couple umbrellas.
So,
do they think is it just a matter of like having to get out to the deep water?
I believe that's exactly it. That the sheltered the beaches that have the sheltered gentle waves are on the east side of the island, but the deep water that the ships can access are on the west side. So basically, you have to get on this very long pier to get to land, and then once you get to land, you then have to wait for a tram, and the tram is an additional 10 plus minutes going across the island to get there. If you wanted to walk, it would easily it would take you well over an hour, and that's assuming you didn't die of heat stroke on the way. So that, I mean, I guess it's necessary, but it's like, I don't know, if I was shopping for a new island and they're like, oh, this one's great, but it's going to take a half an hour from your guests to get from the boat to where they need to go, I'd be like, maybe we'll keep looking.
And it's definitely too many people to like, you can't ferry them back and forth on the boat. This has to be crazy. Everyone gets off and makes it weird that the tram can't go down the pier. Like, you can't start the tram ride from the end. Obviously, come on, Seth.
Honestly,
why didn't you design this better?
No one asked me. No one asked my opinion. The other thing, and this is it's nature. This happens, but it seemed to be particularly bad on the first inaugural sailing for real people on the Fantasy right after the media left. Flies, huge swarms of flies, especially around the barbecue. I saw people trying to eat and having to like make tents out of napkins to cover their food and cover their heads so that they didn't get attacked by flies. That did they
never talk about that part.
We don't talk about that. So Maybe a few bugs to work out still.
But,
Get it? Thank you. I'll be here all week.
All right,
Really,
this is my
I
last
got
one,
nowhere to go. I'll
folks.
be here
Good,
all
good
week.
to be here. So, Carly's back
Tip your
next week, so
waitress.
I'm gonna go ahead.
But as I said, we've got videos on our YouTube. We've got lots of pictures. We've even got a link to a behind-the-scenes panel telling you lots of details that went into the creation of Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point. So if you want to plan a trip to see it for yourself, Mouse Fan Travel can help you get there. All right, that is going to bring us to the end of our show. Before we leave, let's take a look back at some of the comments that you folks left us. Michael Bingham is beyond pumped about the preview center. He can't wait to see it in person. Hopefully you'll be able to get to see it very soon. You and your mom, Cindy. Hi, Cindy. Great to see you.
Hey.
And Johanna Malik letting me know that I can stream The Quiet Place on Hulu, Amazon, and Paramount. So I got my homework ahead of me. I will get to work on that. I promise. And before we go, we want to thank one more time our sponsor, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. I want to remind everyone to please give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you happen to listen to us. If you're here on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe. And be sure to follow us at attractionsmagazine.com or search Attractions Magazine on your favorite social media platforms. Andy, where can folks find you on the socials?
Oh, I don't know.
You can't.
I'm on most of them. It's usually just my name, Andy T. Haynes, or Bindi Brains. I like to go by as well.
All right.
I don't do much. Don't worry about it.
Well, you can find me at S. Kuberski or at The Unofficial Guides, and you can purchase copies of my books at theunofficialguides.com. And until next week, we hope you folks stay safe, try something new, most importantly, have fun. I will see you next time, and hopefully Carly will be with me. Andy, thank you so much. You're welcome to come back anytime.
Pleasure to be here. Can't wait.
And I hope all you have a great week. Take care.
Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye.